Each commissioner is acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom in Wayne County unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Scott,
Present.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Here.
Commissioner Marecki, Commissioner Marecki, Commissioner Kinlock,
Present.
Commissioner Anderson,
Present.
Commissioner Baydun,
Here.
Chair Varga.
Here,
You have a quorum present.
thank you. We'll give temporary excuse to Commissioner Marecki until she joins us momentarily. Next item, please.
Item B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I just wanted to thank everybody for being so conscientious in preparing for each of our meetings. And if you noticed in your email yesterday, the budget language is enclosed with the, was enclosed with the our packet. So please go through them and so we can be ready for it next week when we started. It is, let me take that from my dog. He's got a chew toy, but he's got to do this instead. Okay, so so we can be prepared for the budget language. It's quite extensive, so we want to make sure that that you study it, make sure everything you want in there is in there, or if you have questions. So you'll have a week in advance on that, but we're going to move rather quickly on it next week when we do bring it up. So I want you to be prepared if you can. I'm sure you will be. Thank you very much. Commissioner Marecki is joining now, so we have everyone present. I would like to take a moment of silence. Judge Hood had passed away and she was close to many of us. And so I want to take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mark Abbo, our fiscal director, would you please start us off with the budget presentation?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. Today, we are on day 7. It seems like it's moving so quickly. Only a few days to go. It seems like we're winding it up quickly. So today we have on the agenda our county clerk and our prosecuting attorney. We've devoted an hour to each of those. In the past, there's been a lot of dialogue. So I notice that there's a representative from the county clerk, but I don't know if it's or from the county clerk's office. I don't know if it's Clerk Garrett, but they're on.
Who's here from the clerk's office? Please identify yourself for the record and your title.
Good morning, this is Kathy Garrett, the Wayne County
Well,
Clerk.
good morning.
I thought you might show up individually, Clerk Garrett, and I knew that you would bring Dwayne with you. So
No, we have to stay together over here.
there you go.
Welcome. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
I just simply want to say good morning, and I look forward to having a wonderful budget hearing, and we can start anything that you'd like to ask. I'm ready.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We're hoping for a very good budget as well. And any commissioners would like to ask questions? You did get your packets prior to the meeting. either raise your hand or just go ahead and speak.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Kinlock.
Yes, I know for a number of years that there's been conversation as it relates to staffing issues as well as facility issues that we have been dealing with and trying to assist the clerk's office this year. One thing I noticed is the increase in the staff or the FTEs as it relates to the elections division. And so I think that's an excellent addition. What I'd like to ask the clerk is, based on this proposed budget, are all of your needs addressed inside of this budget? Or is there anything else that you would see that that you could probably see that would become an issue during the next fiscal year that you think that we can address at this time?
Good morning, Commissioner Kinlock, and thank you. Your observations are on point. It still remains the same issue, additional square footage and staffing. And in the content of my request, that's simply what it says. If we get additional square footage and staffing, then our needs will be met for this foreseen time. Who knows what lies ahead? But yes, everything is in here that I think would make us even more efficient than we are.
I jump in there too. Commissioner Kinlock, I want to also mention too is that when you mentioned that the increase in election staff, that is something the clerk has requested. The CEO has not put that in the budget. So I don't want you to look at the budget thinking that increase is already included in the budget right now.
Commissioner Kinlock, I'm still in negotiations over the staff for the election and a few more other things that we have been asking. So far, those things are not in the budget, and they won't be until the budget amendments come down to you. So I'm working very, very hard. I had a meeting with the CFO yesterday, and I will again have one tomorrow, Mark and I, and we continue to negotiate. We understand the need.
Yes.
And everyone understands the need. And we do know that there's legislation coming from Lansing that may require additional. So we are trying very, very hard to give the clerk everything that, not everything, but some of the things that she needs. We want her to have the staff that she requires.
Okay, Madam Chair, you know, because you've been keeping us aware of those conversations. And when it comes to the election piece, you've wrapped that around a strong ask from the commission as it relates to the, those issues.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I have also communicated that with Dwayne yesterday. So I will keep everyone abreast as to what's going on. We're only about a week and a half away, so we're working very hard for everybody.
If I may, Madam Chair, to just expound on what Commissioner Kinlock was saying, he's very well aware of all of the legislation that have currently affected the county clerk's office, as well as those that are waiting to be voted on. So this is something since, 2012, that I've been requesting additional staff, but with each budget cycle, there have been more duties allocated to the county clerk's office. And all I need to say is the 2020 election, and there is pretty much no more elasticity out of the staff that is here. And yet the duties and responsibilities continue to pile up and pile up. So this is a hot one. And since 2012 or 2013, early on from 2001, possibly to 2011, 12, we had 2 cycles as far as of elections over here. But since 2012, 2013, elections are year round, year out in the county clerk's office because of legislation that has caused us to be involved in even the local municipality election.
Thank you. We have a list of Commissioner Baker McCormick and Commissioner Marecki next.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair. And thank you, Clerk Garrett, for all that you do, especially under the conditions and during this pandemic that we continue to see happening around us. And I wanted to clarify what is the current CPL status and overall workings of your office in general concerning the CPL.
Good morning to you. We continue to have 100 to 125 appointments daily. The staffing and the square footage has not changed. However, the staff is toiling through it. We had to back off of the overtime because, again, exhaustion of the staff over here. However, let me just share some numbers with you. As of August the 9th, there's been 121,470 approvals, 9,267 disqualifications, 845 revocations, 855 suspensions, 15,860 renewals, and we have, as of yesterday, there were still 735 in the system pending approval. Now, all of that is numbers, but trust and believe with that is a lot of front end and back end work that goes with that. However, as I said, we are getting through and getting the job done. But again, it's about square footage as well as staffing.
Thank you. And also, some time ago, we talked about the elections, the current staff that you have, or I should say the current attorney, and the overlap in the election commission, as well as for the canvassing. Has that issue been resolved, or what's the status of that?
No, it hasn't been resolved. However, it's included in my budget request.
Okay, what does that look like when you say it's included in the budget request? Is that, you mean that position and the dollar amount for that?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
great. Thank you.
Commissioner McCormick, I can shed a little more light on that. We put a request in with the CFO staff back in July. He had asked us to go in and look at new revenue, and he recommended that there were probably some extra revenue that we can actually find and locate within our budget, and he asked me to go back and my team would take a look at it to see if we can find some. We were able to go through and come up with about $317,000, which what we have mentioned to the CFO, that would actually cover the extra attorney that you were talking about, the clerk needs, as well as the extra sheriff. Obviously, with the pandemic and the situation up here, we found that we need a sheriff for protection for the employees as well as the citizens that come into the building. As you know, people become pretty upset. They're giving certain information, and as well as a couple other expenses in that $317,000. So we're waiting for the CFO to say yes, he's accepting that, and we'll put that in as a technical amendment. I gave that gave a copy to, I think, to the chair of Ways and Means as well as to the CFO. He got a second copy of it as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that information. It sounds like we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Maraki, Baydoun, and Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to, I'm very happy to hear that Chair Virga and Mark are meeting with the CFO to talk about extra staffing in the clerk's office. I forwarded you Clerk Garrett and the chair and Mark Abel a letter from the city clerk in Livonia this morning. And even the clerks are behind you having more help in the office. Because really, on election night, you guys would have a third of the staff I would even have on election night as the clerk of just Livonia. So I know you guys are terribly overworked. And like you said, it's constant elections all through the year. So that's legislation, and it is what it is. Commissioner Baker McCormick asked about the CPL. I was going to ask about that. Now, you got money midway for a call center, for more people at a call center, right? If I remember correctly. Is that fully staffed now? I know you were having a hard time finding staff.
Yes, the call center is staffed. However, now we're waiting to get the tools that we need, such as the telephone system, so that the call center can be more efficient. But
Okay.
in answer to your question, yes, it's staffed. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's good news. And how about, I haven't gotten any calls about CPLs or wedding license. Are you pretty up to date with the wedding license stuff?
We're up to date as far as appointments and customers, period. It's the volume of the requests.
Yeah.
So as they come in, we find ways. Again, remember, even with marriage license, they see over 100 people a day back in that part of the Vitals Division. However, but as we get calls from the commissioners, we get calls from city council, we get calls just because my number has been passed around. But the staff finds a way to make it happen. So that's more staffing and more square footage. And I think those issues would go away.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I haven't had a call in a couple months, so I think things are really looking up. So that's good. All right, well, thank you so much for everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Baydoun, Anderson, and Martha G. Scott, in that order, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Clerk Garrett, for all that you're doing, considering the limited resources and the limited space that you have, especially your staff, Wayne Seals. I have reached out to him several times, and he's always been accommodating for our requests. I think you touched on the both issues of the CPL and the marriage licenses. We still get some calls, but I understand that you're working as much as, you're trying as hard as you can to accommodate everyone with the limited space and the staffing that you have. But I strongly support your requests for more space and staffing, because at the end, our ultimate goal is to serve the public in the most efficient manner. But thank you again, Madam Clerk, for everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Clerk, I want to thank you for the progress that I've seen over there in the clerk's office under difficult circumstances, certainly. The one question, a couple of questions have already been asked that I was going to ask about CPLs and the marriage licenses, but I am still getting some on the marriage license issue, but they have decreased considerably. And I haven't had a CPL call in some time. So I think, it bears out what you said about catching up on everything. And I am hopeful that things will get back to normal soon, and as I'm sure you are. But I wanted to ask too, how many people do we have in the building that are working in the clerk's office as compared to prior to COVID?
First of all, good morning, and then I think I understood you to say that you thought you understood me to say that we're catching up. We are not catching up. We are processing and servicing customers as they come and as they request. Then another thing, what I'm finding, and when I intersect phone calls, I ask the question of customers before they call the commission, the city council, the so on and so forth, are they utilizing the phone number that is on the website, which is 967-6938, because if they utilize that number, there would be no need to call the commission, the council, or anyone else, because there's individuals that answer the call, and their main objective, of course, is to service the customer and but we get it done, accommodate their needs. So I just want to clear that up. We're not catching up. We're doing what has to be done over here. I think you asked me about staffing, and I'm sure you're aware of this. This has not been an office where the employees, nor the clerk or the chief deputy or the CFO, we've never worked remote. So we're full staff consider we have 72 vacancies, we're full staff, and we've been this way in all divisions. So everyone pretty much, unless they're out on a vacation or leave, they are present and working.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
To that point, how many individuals are answering those calls, and were they hired especially for the call center?
Yes, this is the call center, but trust me, they do additional things to help out CPL and Vitals as far as stuffing envelopes, printing letters, etc. But in answer to your question, those are the 6 positions that were approved for the call center.
Okay. Oh, I know everybody's doing their best to fill in. They most certainly do. Commissioner Martha G. Scott, you're next. You're on mute, Commissioner.
We been talking about some space over where the treasurer's office is. Are we still trying to get some space over there or not?
Good morning, Commissioner Scott. As late as yesterday, Pathways Chief Deputy was seeking a status for that. So the short answer is, yeah, we're still interested, but we don't know where the drop-off has happened, but we are anxiously awaiting a affirmative, positive answer that we can move over to 400 Monroe.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't think of the address, but thank you. All right, yes, and I know you're doing a great job. I had a former councilwoman from my city of Highland Park that had moved to Vegas and needed some of her records and stuff, and was able to come here and get them immediately. So thank you so much for that. She was just very appreciative because she had limited time to be here, and you took care of her very well. So thank you. And now you say you're down 72 people?
72 positions, so that's like what, 25, 26% of our workforce over here.
Wow. Now, is any of that in the budget asking for some more staff?
The positions are in the budget. It's the filling of the positions that's the problem. So as far as outreach, we get candidates sometime, and once they find out what the pay grade is and all of the parking expense, etc., they say thank you, but no thank you, or we have candidates that won't show up, And then I'm sure you're aware of this, that there was an agreement worked out with the union and the county to get candidates from Kelly Services. Well, our budget would only allow for 6. Well, out of those 6, 2 said no, thank you. And the other 4 are currently going through the fingerprinting process. And then there's another interview that's scheduled. So prayerfully, out of the 6, we'll at least get 5 and continue to look for the 1. But they're only vacant because nobody's trying to fill these jobs. And I don't know if it's the outreach from HR or it's just, like I said, it's about the low salary, the high insurance deductibles, and the paying to park. And you see now even McDonald's pays $15 an hour.
Well, do you have staff that don't get $15 an hour?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm told that in this budget, everybody will get $15 an hour. Hopefully that is true.
It is true. It's
All right.
funded, everyone is funded at $15 or more. So those who are getting less than 15 will be getting 15.
Okay, well, I just talked to the CFO of this office. He wasn't aware of that either. So $15 is a start in 2021. But yes, that's the thing where these are truly the unsung essential workers over here, because we have people that are working here for $20-something thousand a year that have families. So, but I won't get on that soapbox.
Madam Chair,
Madam
Chair, the Director, the CFO, Mr. Newsom just put in the chat, once the budget is adopted, we will be able to make the shift.
Commissioner Kinlock, you beat me to it. I was going to call on Mr. Huey Newsom to.
Okay.
Mr. Newsom, go ahead, bring the good news.
All right, okay. All right, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank
They
you.
just took mine away from me, but that's okay. Go on.
Just to thanks, Madam Chair. This is Huey Newsom, CFO of the county of Wayne County. Just to confirm, what we have done in this budget is fund the ability to pay everybody at $15 an hour or higher. So in the current budget, that doesn't exist. So one of the things, if you remember when I presented to the Ways and Means Committee before, our hope is that you all would adopt this budget. And again, in order for us not to just pay Madam Clerk's staff up to 15 and above, but also pay all the other hardworking employees throughout Wayne County, different other departments and offices, $15 or more. Obviously, there's only so much so much peanut butter we can spread here. And so that was a very important priority for the CEO. We made it work in this budget, in this balanced budget. But you know what I'm going to say, we couldn't do everything in this budget. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Martha G. Scott, you still have the floor.
That's okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for all that you're doing and the constraints you have. So hopefully, with Mr. Newsom saying that there will be 15 plus some others, so maybe you'll be able to get some of those that wouldn't accept the job earlier.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, may I speak through you to Mr. Newsom?
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Newsom. Good morning. You just said that this raise would not be just for the clerk office. I just wanted to put on the record that I know it is according to the CBA and for all employees, but shame on me if I didn't speak to the employees in the clerk's office. So I was clear that we're not special, that it's for all employees. So I thank you, but once this budget is approved, can you tell me now what the effective date would be when that raise would kick in for the employees?
The funding will be available to do that as of 10/1. Now, the implementation of it is something that has to be worked out with the rest of administration and PHR, but I will check with them and get back to you on that one. But the target would be, obviously 10/1 because the funding will be available 10/1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners who would like?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner
thank you.
Baker McCormick.
Yes, that's no problem. Madam Clerk, you talked about the location at 400 Monroe. Has there been other locations looked at for potential space?
The short answer is no, and let me tell you why, based on what my experience has been. Prior to the clerk's office moving from 640 Temple over to the 400 Monroe location, Patricia Ways and myself were like realtors out here diligently, even some of the staff were trying to locate other locations where 640 Temple could move. Well, we thought we had done a good thing and found a couple of places that checked all the boxes. Well, we were told in no uncertain terms that that wasn't my lane. So in short, 400 Monroe is what has been presented. And my greatest concern and desire is additional square footage to accommodate the staff as well as the customers. That was a long answer to say, no, 400 Monroe is the only location that has been placed on the table at this point. But I feel that it has great benefits with the fact that the City of Detroit birth and death is at 400 Monroe. Then a lot of times, as well as the register and the treasurer, constituents will come to KMAC thinking that they can touch all of those bases here. So I think it's a win-win for the citizens and definitely the clerk's office if we were all able to be in the same building.
Okay, and I asked that question because we do have, and maybe we can provide to you other potential locations, because it seems as though I'm not sure what the issue is currently. I know it was off and on. It was various issues with Monroe, but we do have other county-owned buildings that may potentially work. And I'm just suggesting that we might want to, or you might want to look at the other locations that are owned by the county.
I'm very open to that. And then I'm assuming, which is dangerous, are those locations in the City of Detroit, which is the seat of the county?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Are those other locations that you are referring to, are they located within the City of Detroit, which is the seat of the county? And still I'm being focused on the different buildings that the clerk's office is in. This Detroit is just a good location for, as far as the van driver being able to hit all of those locations.
In the same vicinity. And that's
Exactly.
a great question. I received a list, Mr. Newsom, maybe you can talk to that. I know at one point you sent me a list of locations that we owned in Wayne County. I don't know if there's maybe something we can provide to the clerk so that she can take a look at the list.
I can facilitate her getting that list, and then maybe a conversation with administration around, walking her through that list. Or what I'll do is, Madam Clerk, what I'll do is get you into a conversation with Daryl Jones, who owns that list, our buildings manager, and see if we can kind of re-spark that conversation around available locations for you to look at, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yes.
And if I may, Commissioner McCormick, I'm not married to 400 Monroe now. If I could have my greatest wish fulfilled, it would be for a facility that's large enough where we could put the Vitals Division that currently is here in KMAC, as well as the Vitals Division that's over at 400 Monroe. If we could just combine both of those together, that would be the ultimate. But I understand I have to take baby steps, so I'm just thankful for anything we can do to get more square footage and additional staffing so that it can accommodate the customers where in 2021, they're not standing in a common area, a hallway where they can't cross over the elevators. So I'll shut up and not get on the soapbox, but anywhere that we have more square footage that will accommodate the need.
Great, great. All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Sounds like we're moving in the right direction. Any other commissioners have any questions for our Great Wayne County Clerk? I hear none right now. Mark Gabo, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, thank you for doing such a great job. And I will continue to have dialogue throughout the rest of the couple of weeks till we get this budget done. And further, I do know that, or I have learned something that I'm going to bring to the administration's attention, Mr. Newsom, and that is that perhaps maybe for hiring these folks, we may need to have testing ongoing, not just on certain weeks, but sort of more often or ongoing, so that way people could test in much sooner. So there's a lot of work to be done on that. And after the budget is done, I would like to have that conversation with personnel director, either offline or in Ways and Means one day, with you present as well.
I can pass that message along and commit some time to that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, because we recruit, but then we don't test right away. So that would be really, really good. Do we, let's see. I think we're just about done. We had a question by Commissioner Anderson if there are any clerks that would like to speak. We could open it up for public comments.
Okay,
Only on budget.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay, Dwayne also has something he'd like to say, but I would like to put out here, in your advocating and decision-making on my request, I did have forwarded to you and the rest of the commission a comprehensive list of just some of the duties based on the legislative changes that the staff in elections that they're now charged with doing. And the fact that all of these legislative changes have happened since 2012, 2013, but yet the staffing has not changed to accommodate and offset some of this. So I'm asking you please to look closely at the list of duties that I sent you, and this is an abbreviated list, and the fact of knowing that 6 staff, where 2 are totally dedicated to the 3,300 committees for campaign finance that they have to attend to, please give great consideration to increasing the staff for the elections division.
Thank you. will do. Madam Clerk, would you like us to open for public hearing on only on your budget at this time? If you think there's other clerks present, I think there are. I would like to have the public unmuted, so some of the, only on the clerk's budget at this time. We will have public hearing later on as well. But I just want to hear from some of the clerks that are present. I noticed in the chat that we have former Commissioner Richard LeBlanc, and he would like to speak. Former Commissioner LeBlanc, are you still there?
I am. Thank you for
Okay,
allowing me to speak today.
Sure.
I wish to say first, thank you, honorable commissioners and other distinguished members of this panel. I did join the budget hearing a few minutes after it began, so I didn't hear the whole thing, but just wish to say that I appreciate, it appears as though there is significant progress being made within the clerk's office, that the commission, at least to the extent that I heard, and others appear to be supportive of additional resources. And it would go without saying that those of us within the 43 member communities, the 43 clerks, the 43 deputy clerks, and others within election administration truly appreciate any additional help you can provide the county clerk's office as regards elections. I have nothing else to say, but again, I appreciate it, and I'll tune back in the next time you meet regarding this subject.
Thank you. It was great hearing from you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Anyone else, any other clerk would like to speak?
Yes, if I may, Your Honorable Ilana Virga, Commissioner. This is President Buffington of Local 1659, also a court clerk for the County Clerk's Office. If I may have a few moments.
Go ahead.
I appreciate the county clerk herself coming aboard and informing you of the budget issues. But it would be appreciated of the union as well as the employees of her office to be aware of some of the movements within the location, so the morale might pick up a little bit better in regards to individuals and across all of Wayne County with other elected officials, to make them a little more aware of the movements within their office and locations. You have a number of people that are resigning, as I informed you in the last meeting. I know that Mr. Newsom indicated that he's going to give monies. You all were championing giving more people the monies. The elected officials are now seeing that the county being disingenuous with their negotiation process, and the payment of these people is now affecting the movements of their offices getting employees. It's funny that this is going to come about at the time we're going to start negotiation processes again. I hope that this is a genuine movement to get employment across the board in every single office. And I hope that the elected officials start reaching out and speaking to union to know what's being done by their CFO in regards to them getting the movement on employment, so they know what's going to go on in regards to them being able to give services to the people. Thank you for your audience. This is President Buffington of Local 1659 once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Under public comments, we don't respond back and forth, but thank you for your words. Anyone else? Just on the clerk.
Chairwoman Barker, I would like to make a kind of a quick brief statement as far as what we talked about, if that's okay.
I'm going to close the public hearing on this first. Anyone else from any other clerks? I was told that some of you may be coming, so anyone else? Any other clerks? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Mr. Dwayne Seals, go ahead.
I just want to just recap and make sure we, I see the report that's up on the screen there. I want to make sure that, because I think it's kind of confusing sometimes, but we have a sheet. I think, like I said, I mentioned before that I sent it to you as well as to Mr. Newsom as far as what we're actually requesting. So to make sure that we all understand that we're requesting 4 additional election individuals. I mean, that's not in the budget, but we're requesting that. Currently in the budget, it is exactly status quo. Nothing's changed as far as in the CEO's budget. But as you mentioned to me before that you were discussing with the CFO and working and negotiating, I just want to make sure that everyone understands. We're about $600,000 short. We were able to go back in and find about $317,000. That leaves us about $280,000 short for the election workers. So that's what we're looking at right there. Other than that, the CEO, the CFO have done an excellent job with the budget. We're happy outside of what the clerk had mentioned as far as spacing and staffing. As she mentioned that we're 25% short on staffing. It's very difficult to run an office, having 75 people not here. And out of those 75 individuals that's vacant, that leaves us with about 75% of the people left. Now, we still have to take care of vacations, sick time, and so forth. So it makes it very difficult to run an office without appropriate employees that your honorable body has actually approved for this office here. So I want to mention that we need about $600,000, $300,000, $317,000 we have actually found in revenue. We're short about $280,000. Thank you.
Understood. That is the number that I'm working with. So very well understood. I have a question. The fees, have we looked at the fees, whether we need to adjust them, or are we good with the fees that we're charging? We want to look at everyone's fees every year or every other year to make sure that if eventually it goes up, that it only goes up incrementally as opposed to a bigger fee structure. Have you looked at any of the fees that may need adjusting?
We're constantly looking at, but a lot of our fees are based on state law that's been set before us, as well as the commission. But we usually we can't just go in and, as the chief deputy mentioned, that through law, we can't just simply go in and start changing fees. Those are, I think in the past, there was a fee change. Yes. I remember correctly when I was on the commission, there was a.
Go through a long process. We just take it through.
But that's something that obviously the commission can look at a bit if that's something they desire to do.
We're going to be asking everyone to look at their fee schedule, so that would be beneficial maybe after this budget has passed. Madam Clerk, the last word is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I'd just like to reiterate, please read the document that I sent relevant to elections and understand that this is a dire need, along with, again, additional square footage and staffing. And I do thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It was good to see you today. Could everyone unmute? Everyone unmute or mute themselves, please, who are not commissioners and are not speaking. Thank you. We are now 8 minutes ahead of our schedule. Mr. Mark Abel.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I've been communicating with Tony Guerrera by text. I'm aware that we're ahead of schedule. Tony, I know Tony is with us And I know that Madam Prosecutor Kim Worthy was going to be presenting. Tony, are you ready, or should we?
I'm here, Mr. Abel. This is Kim. I'm here. So I'm ready
Oh,
to start.
I'm sorry, Madam Prosecutor. I didn't see you.
That's fine.
We're 8 minutes early, so I guess if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready, and I'm glad for the 8 minutes because as everybody knows, that I usually try not to go as long as I do. So, Commission Chair, do you want me to proceed?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Welcome.
So first, I want to thank everybody for your time and attention. And as I stated last year, the cooperation and the listening ears I've received from the commissioner over the last couple of years has been unparalleled. So I want to thank you for always listening to us about our needs. I know my time is limited here and I cannot go into detail and the detail you may really need. So I do want to remind you once again, and I know you don't need reminding, that I make myself available at any time for our public safety, for your Public Safety Commission meetings. They have allowed me to come in probably on about 8 or 9 occasions now and basically take up all their time for basic information. I know we've made a homicide presentation. I know we've made an IT presentation. I know we've made a CIU presentation. I know we've made other presentations as well, and I thank you for that. And I want to continue to do that. So if there's something that I'm not able to delve in today because of time, I'm more than happy to provide much documentation, as you know that I have, and come forward to public safety, or even come back here if you want to. So most of what I'm going to talk about, you've heard me say for years and years and years, probably for over a decade, but now they are really pronouncing themselves. And now as I see and hear, most of the other elected officials are also saying the same things that I'm going to say. So I also, before I go any further, I want to just thank the CEO and his staff again for always being approachable and listening and being supportive as well. So I cannot let that go unsaid. Every year I come to you and talk about our staffing needs, our caseload needs, and today is not going to be any different. But and every year I'm convinced that it can't get any worse. I don't know what that what's on the screen now, but that's not mine. But anyway, and so this year, of course, because of the pandemic, has gotten a whole lot worse. But I think, as I said yesterday, when I attended a press conference with the governor yesterday, and the mayor and other officials, and I know Commission Chair Bell was there, Commissioner Jonathan Kinlock was there, and Commissioner Irma Clark-Holman was there. And I said, we can't blame all of our travails and all of our problems on the pandemic, because we had some of these were some systemic issues that we've had for a while. But now we're being forced to maybe correct some of these things. And so I want to talk through some of these items, and I'm going to move as fast as I can and try not to speak too fast, but I want to get through everything. As you know, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office is public safety. We're the gatekeepers to the criminal justice system. We always try to get everything right. We have some major budgetary issues, and my comments are in no way a reflection. And that's why I wanted to start by thanking the CEO and you. There's no way reflection on what you have and haven't done for us. But these are issues that you need to know about, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention them. Crime has spiked through two levels that I haven't seen in all my years as an assistant prosecutor for 12 years, on the bench for 9, and being the elected prosecutor for 17th year. I've never seen anything like it. And that's saying a lot. Things are completely and totally out of control. And like I said, we cannot all blame it on the pandemic. I just want to give you some quick examples before I go into my comments. And I know some of you have heard me say this, but it bears repeating. When we talk, and I'm just going to pick a few areas in the office. I'm not going to talk about every crime. I'm going to talk about a few areas. So this is a small snapshot of the issues that we're having, the major issues that we're having. When we talk about domestic violence, we've had 19 domestic violence homicides this year. We typically get anywhere from 7 to 12. Last year we had 24. We have 19 already this year. They're coming in at a quick clip. It's frankly very, very scary. And I think that we're going to surpass our record of 24 that we had last year. As far as our non-fatal DV cases, we are just 6 behind what we had in 2020. And we had just under 10,000. I expect us to break that barrier of 10,000 this year. These are astounding statistics. And I also wanted to let you know, and this is something I did not say yesterday, we have a 19% increase in sexual assaults up from last year. Just taking our homicides, we have 863 trial and non-fatal shootings, 863 trial-ready cases, 863. These are complex cases. They require a lot of time, and we're 863 behind, just in homicide and non-fatal shootings. 636 of them are capital cases, and that means homicides and attempted homicide, or we call it assault with intent to murder, where someone was shot, but just by the grace of God, they didn't die. And then we have over 200 guns and drug cases, not to be confused with the other gun cases. This is in a special unit that I'm going to talk about later. In Detroit only, homicides are up 20%. Non-fatal shootings are up 53%. Fatal car crashes, which I've been talking about, and thankfully the commission stepped in and changed the Wayne County ordinance, because we've been talking as a county about this for so long. And the fatal car crash cases are up 60%. Per the Michigan State Police, fatal car accidents, and I don't want to say accident, fatal car crashes that are outrageous, speeding, etc. They're 1734, over 1,700. Drag racing, I'm just going to mention a few more crimes before I go on, and other fatal car crashes. Everybody that's hearing me and everybody that is on this phone, you know that you can't even stop at a traffic light or a stop sign without someone zooming behind you and creating mayhem. And this has caused many, many cases to come in. So fatal car crashes as a result of drag racing are up to 10, actually up to 10. And criminal charges from some of our other cases, our drag racing cases, are 17. Most of these charges are reckless driving, but then of course there are many cases that our local police departments charge as tickets and we don't track those. So instead of bringing it to us, they do it locally. So we have 118 drag racing incidents this year alone that were in forfeiture proceedings. Last year was only 24, 118. All of these cases, and this is just a few crimes, non-fatal shootings, homicides, domestic violence. We have many, many, many more crimes that we deal with, including child abuse and just a whole armed robbery, sexual assault, all of these that we deal with on a daily basis. So this is a very small snapshot of what we have. But all of this is related in huge caseloads. And this is astounding because we are losing assistant prosecutors and other staff left and right because they are concerned about their caseloads, and properly so. If you compare the defense, which is much more resourced than we are, and they see only a fraction of the cases that we see, because they don't even see the cases that we don't charge, a fraction of what we see, and they are paid a whole lot more than we are. APAs in my office have anywhere between 35 and almost 100 cases apiece. That's inhumane. And it's causing all kinds of issues. Our advocates have way too many cases. Our investigators have way too many cases. And I cannot tell you how far above standards we are. This is horrible for our victims because we can't even call our victims on a regular basis to let them know what's going on. In cases where their trials are being dragged out because of the pandemic from 6 months. And remember, in Wayne County, we normally get through our cases between 90 days and 120 days. It is not normal for us to have our defendants and our victims wait for years for their cases to be heard. And so many cases are dropping out of the criminal justice system, our victims, because they are tired of waiting for many other reasons, and defendants are getting off scot-free for horrible crimes. So it's not fair to our victims, it's horrible for public safety, and it's causing quite a few of our APAs to flee.
You're absolutely right.
The backlogs in the Third Circuit Court, and I'm going to ask the chair to have everybody mute. I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Would everybody please mute themselves?
Thank you. Our backlogs and all the problems I just talked about doesn't even include our backlogs in Circuit Court. I spoke with Judge Kenny this morning, the chief of the Wayne County Third Circuit Court. They are backlogged 2,900 cases, trials that still have to be set. This is not including all the new stuff coming in. I spoke with Judge McConaughey today this morning. Actually, I texted back and forth with him as I always do. The 36th District Court alone is backed up 4,300 cases, 4,300 cases. Just adding those two together, 7,200 cases that are backed up. And that does not even include the other 25 district courts that we have in our out-county cities and our five courts in the Grosse Pointes. So we have 25 other district courts that I'm not even counting those numbers. So it's a very conservative number to say that if you add what I think is there, we're talking about over 10,000 backlog cases. How are we ever going to be able to handle these? Not especially with our staffing, but how are we going to do it in the first place? So again, This is a critical mass. The criminal justice system is under assault. These are horrible times and we cannot get these cases tried. But there's more than that. Our backlog general warrant cases, and this does not include homicide and sexual assault and child abuse and domestic violence, but just our regular, and I hate to use that word because it somehow devalues, and I don't mean it that way, but our non-special unit cases. We have, just in Detroit alone, we are backed up over 1,400 warrants. What does that mean? That means the police bring us these warrants, and 1,400 of them we can't even get to because we don't have the staffing. Now, fortunately, every day we come in and we try to get through our in-custody warrants. So we get through most of those. But we have over 1,400 that are sitting there that we can't get to. Out county, everything other than the city of Detroit, we have 625. I've been around to all of our police departments, our mayors, our town supervisors, explaining what our issues are. So they understand, but again, sitting and buried in these piles could be very serious crimes that are waiting to happen because no one's been charged yet. We can't get to them. Secondarily, once we do get to these cases, they have to be typed, and we're 80 cases behind there. Again, staffing. It's going to take us years to get out of these backlogs, both court backlogs and our warrant backlogs. And again, I haven't even included homicide and child abuse and other cases as well. I can't think of a situation that's more dire. My poor staff, a group of people who work hard every day in and day out to get justice done, are so overtaxed that we have a lot leaving, and other issues as well. I want to give you just one more quick example when it comes to cases. We have issued 2,400, over 2,400 just possession of gun cases since January. These cases, and going through them and making offers and trying to get defendants to plea, et cetera, if they are guilty, of course, and going over and talking with the defense, are taking up so much of our time. And these are not even all the ones that are coming in. Typically, we do not issue about 1/3 of the cases that come in. So I don't know how anybody expects this office to run with what we have. We're trying to do it every day. But people are quick to blame prosecutors when mistakes are made. But the defense is well-funded. The police get millions and millions of dollars, and more is coming from them. And they forget about the people in the criminal justice system that basically run it. And what I mean by that, we are the ones that decide which cases get into the system in the first place. And we're very careful and very passionate about doing that in the right way, because we don't want to put anybody in the system that doesn't belong there, regardless if we think that they're guilty or not. And we can't be expected to do what we're supposed to do, pay attention to these cases without having to rush to the next one, and giving our constituents the care that they deserved when they've been victimized. These numbers are staggering. And again, I just gave you a few crimes. I'm not even talking about all the ones that we do. We've had over 50 people leave recently. Most don't want to leave. Most really don't want to leave. Because they leave mainly because of the salary. They've got to be able to support their families. And I'm talking about not just lawyers, but other people too. But we have, most of my young assistants have mounting law school debt of anywhere from about $120,000 to $150,000 a year. So when other prosecutors' office come calling and offer them $20,000, $25,000 more, they're going to go whether they want to or not, for a much reduced caseload. We do more cases per prosecutor than any place else in this nation. In this nation. We do over 70% of all the trials in the state. And you have 82 other counties who do the 30%. And even some of the smaller counties in Michigan, Webster County, they have like 5 people. Their prosecutors make more than we do. And nobody has the caseload that we do, even our larger counties. Everyone knows that if you want a prosecutor, if you want to hire one, you come to Wayne County, because any Wayne County prosecutor that's been here for any length of time, except for during this pandemic, of course, can try anything. We spend our resources training them and grooming them and getting them ready. And they go on to another office making a whole lot more money because we can't sustain them. I've been around a long time. And we've always had an abundance of resumes coming in. 400, 500, not unusual. And we can barely get anyone to apply now. And the ones that do, once they hear about the salary, they're out the door. We have lost so many talented people that could come and work and help us with our issues here, but we can't sustain it because of the salary. I didn't include in the materials, and I should have the article from Macomb County that came out. It was written, I can't find the date on here, but it was August the 6th. And how they lost some prosecutors, but guess what? They were able to replace them all with our prosecutors, with our talented prosecutors. Everybody does it. Everybody. And I'm going to send you this article because I think it's important to read it. We had one person that had 20 years of experience that left, making a whole lot more than he's making now. We had another that was a newer prosecutor that went, and we had another that had been here, I think, about 8 years. And so I can't think of a more dire situation. We also gave you a chart that was prepared by our Wayne County Government Bar Association, our unionized lawyers, and showing you the disparity and the movement. And they just had Wayne, Kent, Oakland, and Macomb. None of them with the workload that we have. None of them with the stressors that we have. And it's astounding. And I know that this chart is in your material, so you have that. And I've asked them to add in some of the other counties, some of the smaller counties that are making more than Wayne County prosecutors that have almost no capital cases a year. Maybe a few trials, making more than we do. I'm also going to put together some information from you about the major cities in the country. And I understand that we all have different funding sources. I get it. I get that there's a DA system, there's a state's attorney system, but we all basically do the same job. And we're ranked dead last among big city prosecutors' offices when it comes to caseload, and when it comes to, well, we're number one in caseload when it comes to salaries. All right, I'm going to move on to do something else, and I know I want to really get, our grants are being affected because we don't have the staff. And all of you know, I've been having this conversation. This is not the first time I've had this conversation with you. All of you know, I've been having this conversation for well over a decade about funding and resources and salaries. So, you know, we're human beings that are tasked with impossible tasks, and it's affecting my entire staff. And like I said, I have irrefutable evidence and bounds of evidence for you, and I hope that you ask for it. We've included a lot of that in our materials. We've included lists of everybody that's left. We've included a list of our salaries. We've included all kinds of things in answering your question for you. So the bottom line really is, I applaud your efforts and the CEOs, but we can't get it done with what we have. I want to talk about some additional issues that are very, very important. Our conviction integrity unit. And I found out, we were going through the budget today, and I found that there had been an error. We did not ask for the money that we need for that. So we're gonna do a budget adjustment for you, but I think you're very familiar with this unit. I do know that we presented before you in public safety, and we actually had some of our exonerees come and testify as well. And some of you contacted me later and said it was among the most moving thing you had ever seen. And it is. And I know we have a number of exonerees and others on the line today listening. We're very serious. When we know we need resources, and I think you know this also, we don't just ask you for general fund dollars. We widen that net, and we get creative, and we get resources in here from other ways, or we would have folded a long time ago. And I think you know that. We always have a lot of grants. We have a lot of different initiatives, as you know. I'm going to update you on the rape kits in a minute. So we knock on doors, we talk to nonprofits, we partner with people, we do everything we can to increase our resources. We've come to you asking for a millage. I understand that Wayne County might be topped out on that. We've tried to do that. And we have just turned over every corner that we can possibly turn over for resources for this office to run properly. Not asking for what we want, but asking for what we need, just to be serviceable. And so I believe the number when it comes to the CIU is incorrect there. And so we're going to, like I said, we're going to do a budget adjustment, but again, over 1,700 cases that are contacts that we have to get to. I'm not going to spend too long talking about this because I know you've heard me talk about it forever. And these cases take a lot of investigation, a lot of time. We even went so far as Valerie Newman, our director, we partnered with UDM, University of Detroit Mercy Law School, so they can get credit for helping us work on some of these cases. Never been done in this country, never. But we did that because that's how much we need the assistance. And we think it'd be valuable to those upcoming lawyers. And we think they will make them better lawyers, whether it's prosecutors, defense, or private industry, or whatever they want to do. And so we are asking for the size of the CIU to be doubled.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I hear feedback. Could everyone please mute themselves?
I'm almost done with my first pass, but I do want to just address a couple of issues. All of you, I think, know that the raise to age, yes, I hear it too. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think all of you know that the raise to age legislation passed last year and goes into effect on October the 1st. And the county has been very proactive about trying to get the resources to meet this demand. And I know that there was a quote unquote grant that came from the state. I know we collectively and collaboratively worked on it together. We sent you our piece. But again, if we don't get that money from the state for the raise to age, and for those that don't know, raise to age is legislation that passed in Lansing last year. Again, takes effect in October, raising the age of majority for a crime from 17 to 18. As you know, if you're 17-year-old in Michigan right now, you're treated as an adult. It's now going to be 18. So that means all the 17-year-olds are going to flood into the juvenile system. And people say, well, Kim, why not just move people over? Because they're a completely different system. And the juvenile system is very, very intensive and specific about what has to be done for our children and our teens that find themselves in the criminal justice system. So you can't just transfer people over. So I know that I think that if you haven't seen it, I can provide that to you, but I know that we had a detailed proposal that was sent about what we're going to need to handle those cases, because one thing that was not contemplated, not only 17-year-olds, and of course the 17-year-olds are the ones that commit in that age group that commit the most crime and the more serious crime. So that's a lot of resources there. But also what the legislature did not contemplate, the 17-year-olds drive. And all the driving offenses are now going to go into, whether it's drunk driving or fatal car crashes, or the like I already told you are way, way high. I think we've had, and don't quote me on this, over 100 since the pandemic began. Just horrible, horrible cases, and an untold number of people have died. And because of that. And we now have to handle those in the juvenile system too. So I hope we get the grant from the state, but if we don't, I'm going to be coming back to you that we have to increase the size of our juvenile division to comply with changes in the law. And what was supposed to happen is that it was delayed for a year. It passed last year. It's going to go into effect in October of this year, because we were supposed to get funding from somewhere. It was supposed to come from the state. So I don't think that happened. Last few points I want to make, and then I'm happy to stand for any questions. I want to just give you a sexual assault kit upgrade. This commission and the CEO have been very, very generous when it came to supporting this outfit. And the fact that we had 11,341 untested rape kits found in Detroit 11 years ago, we're still working on these cases. Our latest stats, just to share with you, are we have identified over 830 serial rapists just in this group of rape kits. Most of you have heard me say this before. It's still that high. And that means that people just within this project have raped more than once. Some of them have raped from 15 to 20 times a piece and are walking around the county of Wayne, the state of Michigan. Our rape kits in one city, in one county, in one state have tentacles to crimes, sexual assault, homicide in 39 other states. So that means, and some of you have heard me say this before, that means there are 10 states in the United States that were not impacted by our finding these rape kits. We have 224 convicted rapists off the streets. We have completed the investigation on over 4,000. We have many hundreds in being investigated now. And we are reaching the point where we have either started to investigate or prosecute all the cases where there have been CODIS or DNA hits. But we still have thousands of cases where there were no hits that we've got to try to bring some justice to our victims. And just as a reminder, of these 11,341, 86% of them were women of color. 86% women of color. And that kind of speaks volumes about the criminal justice system right there, but I won't get into it. But if you're blonde-haired and blue-eyed, you're raped, it's solved for the most part. But that's a time for another day. So I didn't see in the budget request any money that was designated for that. And I would like you to consider that, please. I know it started off many years ago with $1 million, and just thanked all of you profusely, because we could not have done the work that we've done without that, without the CEO and you being very serious about this. It's been reduced over the years. We're still working on it. We still have thousands of cases to do. And we have about 13 cases alone that are connected with 61 victims of sexual assault, who were going the extra mile and using our grant money to go use extra measures. I can't speak really lawfully about the type of information that we're using, but it's a very protracted DNA process. And we already charged one person with what will soon to be 7 sexual assaults for a case that's taken us 3 years to try to solve.
If you click,
and so we're still turning over every turn. Let me just
hear them, but they can't hear you.
Okay, so how finish by saying this. You do see monies in there for a dashboard and a case management system, which is critically important. We have cities like Chicago and San Francisco and others that have basically been able to function more completely, because they are looking at their numbers, and there's a database and a dashboard, and we can be much more efficient when we're finally able to get to this point. And Chair Varga and others, I've been talking about this since 2005, being digital. So we are making some progress, but that money is there. I don't just complain. We have solutions, we have innovations that we do. We've always done diversion programs. We diverted over 18,000 people from the criminal justice system with our diversion programs. We were doing this years ago before anybody was doing it. We support the specialty courts, but the only people that don't get money to run these specialty courts, the homelessness court, the veterans court, the sobriety court, the drug court, and the mental health court. The only people that don't get resources that have to participate are the prosecutors. So we have to take people off of their other duties to be involved in that very important work. I'm going to request to come to public safety to talk about some other issues and some other solutions that I don't want to make public at this time. And I don't even think I'm going to have to ask for any general fund dollars there. But there are other things that we have come up with that will help us not only have to be more community oriented, not only to have more restorative justice type, all designed with the idea that if we can deal with more quickly our lower level offenses, we can spend our time where we should be spending our time. And that's on our violent offenses. So I have 5 programs. I spoke about one yesterday in the press conference, 5 programs that we are looking at doing and that we're working very hard on, that we know will reduce our cases as far as if we can deal with them in other ways and not criminalizing the mentally ill, for instance. And not waiting, you have to, a family with a mental ill person will call the police when they are wreaking havoc on the family, and we're criminalizing them prior to getting them help. So we're working on some things that we don't want to criminalize them, get them help on the front end. So there are a number of initiatives like that I'm happy to come and share with you and talk about it. I know all of you will be very, very excited about it, as I am. And again, once again, Wayne County can be a leader for its innovative practices, as we always have been. So again, just to finish, we have some severe issues. My staff is way past its breaking point. Way past its breaking point. Our staff is constantly being usurped by other prosecutors' offices who have not invested in them. Wayne County dollars went to invest in them, but they're going to other counties for more money, and they don't have to invest in them because they're already trained. Retention, attrition, caseloads are backbreaking. And we can't exist like this. Not even to mention, but the pandemic and the wreckage that's caused, the spiking violence, as I pointed out to you, in the most troubling of things, with our children, with our elders, with our domestic violence victims, homicides, that we aren't servicing our public the proper way. We have to do better. And I know all you want to, and again, I don't want any of my comments to be taken that you haven't tried to help, because you have. You have. But it's my job as the elected leader of the prosecutor's office and to support my staff and the advocates and the investigators and my support staff and the work that they do each and every day. Because people don't understand. They watch TV and think it's easy, that you can wrap up a case in 44 minutes. and that you have all the prosecutor's offices have all the resources that they need to be able to do the most minuscule of tasks. And that's just not reality. We are breaking our backs here, trying to be judges of these victims. And as a county, we have to do better. And I know we want to. And again, I just had to say for the third time, this is not an indictment on the fact that you haven't been helpful and you haven't listened and you haven't given me resources. But I have to tell the truth about where we are. And I thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Vice Chair Baydoun.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Prosecutor Worthy, first of all, I want to thank you and your entire staff. Thank you for being the gatekeeper of Wayne County. Listening to you, Prosecutor Worthy, I feel your pain. I feel your frustration. I have many friends that have come through the prosecutor's office and they went on to become great judges and prominent attorneys. Yes, I hate to see some of these talents come to Wayne County, they get the training and then they move on because they cannot afford to make a living. It's really unacceptable. I know you cannot retain people with a salary of $35,000 or $40,000, especially these new lawyers who have student loans and other debts. So I really feel your frustration. From my part, Chairwoman Virga, we need to do everything we can to help the prosecutor's office because public safety, as all of you know, is paramount in any community. And it's unacceptable to have 10,000 cases that cannot be tried yet because of lack of resources and other barriers. So I feel your pain, Prosecutor Worthy. You have my full support. Let's think outside the box. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud right now with everyone on the line. I don't know if the money that we got from the federal government, the $338 million, I don't know if we can allocate some of this money. And I'm not an expert here. We have the people from the executive's office on the line. Can we do anything to help prosecutor's office to hire more people or to keep people in their places?
So let me just comment before your question is answered, Commissioner Baydoun, and I thank you. You've always been very supportive. My young assistants start at 55, which is lower than than everybody else. And like I said, with student loan debt, it's almost impossible for them to stay. And they get the experience that's the most valuable. We have support staff that are making, like you said, 35,000, et cetera, that are members of ASME and GAA. And I'm trying to fight for them all to be able to make a better wage. I have addressed that issue. I don't want to speak about that publicly, Commissioner Baydoun. I have addressed that very issue. And so working with the county on that issue as well. And, it's not because I haven't been given positions. I have positions right now I can't fill for the reasons that I start. And even if we fill them all, we'd still be behind. But I have about 50 positions, 40 or 50 positions that I sent you all that information I can't fill because people walk away once they hear what the salary is and for other reasons. I lost one person just because the county doesn't pay for parking. And I get that, but so I just wanted to correct that number about 55 and about 55,000 for a young assistants. You can see from the documents that I provided, the other counties started much more than that.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. These are my thoughts and my remarks.
Okay. We'll have public hearing very soon. So if you have your hand up for public hearing from the public, we will come to you very soon. Right now, we're going to try to have the commissioner ask the questions first. Commissioner Anderson and then Commissioner Kinlock.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome, Madam Prosecutor. As you know, I've been extremely supportive of what you do and what your employees do. Your total staff, I understand how much they must be overworked and the difficulty of filling positions because of the salaries. I wonder, do we have anything that we can take a look at that shows the differential between what Wayne County is paying the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office is able to pay versus what Oakland, Macomb, and some of these other counties that are taking some of your attorneys. Do we have anything that we could?
Yes, we have a whole proposal that the GBA has put together that I can send you. I just want to get their permission to do so. I think I have it, but I want to just make sure I get the permission to send it to you. We've made many presentations, Commissioner Anderson, about this very thing. I don't know if it was before you were on the commission or not, but I also spoke at length about this last year and the year before, especially the year before when we were, can't remember where we were, Commissioner Varga, but not last year, but the last set of hearings we had in person. I spoke along with one of my managers, Keith Clark, about the disparities and all of that. And we have all of that prepared for you. So yes, we can do that. I do want them to add a little bit more to, because I want them to compare and contrast some of the smaller counties, which we didn't do that because we're obviously not a small county. But I just want you to be able to see that even some of the smaller counties that do less work, much less work, are paid more than we are. And so, yes, we have those. To answer your question, yes, we have all of that documentation prepared. I want to speak to the GBA president to make sure that I can send this out as is. And I'm pretty sure the answer will be yes, but if we have to make a few changes to make it, put it in the public domain, then we can get that to you before, way before the end of the week.
Yeah,
because we have prepared all that.
I appreciate that. And I think it's important for us to get a perspective on what's happening around us and why they're going there. And I trust what you're saying, that is the issue. But I think for us to be able to also look at a solution, I know it requires additional money, but we need to be prepared, I think, to take that big step. And as far as the file management and a case management system, that I remember I believe it was 2 years ago at the community center I believe it was in Northwest Detroit.
Yes, that's right.
And where you were speaking of, and you did a fabulous job of explaining why that's so important. Where would you say we're at in that process right now, the case management? How much progress have we made?
Let me see. Mark Hindelang, are you on the line? You can answer a question much better than I think he's on the line. So if you could come on and explain that. We'll get him on the line for you. Okay,
Madam Prosecutor, it's Tony Guerrero here. The RFP was prepared, the RFP was out, it has been analyzed, and the case management system is in the process of selecting the vendor who provides the most optimum bid. So we're close to that. I would say, I will defer to Mark, but I would say we're ready to go there pretty soon. And if I may, Commissioner Anderson and all, if you look at the package that Madam Prosecutor presented, attachment C is a document you'll find that's a chart, and it shows the starting salaries for Wayne County, Kent County, Oakland County, and Macomb County. It's a very easy visual.
And the thing about that chart too, not to change the subject too much, but that their counties are not of comparable size. When you look at counties of comparable size, you have to look outside the state of Michigan, and those are the numbers we're going to get to you as well. So they're paid more, but their workload is nowhere near ours. So it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges, but at least it does tell you the starting salaries. Commissioner Anderson, we're on our way. It's taken a very long time to be on our way, and I hope we can get him on the line before the hearing, but we can tell you exactly where we are with that process.
Okay, I appreciate it. I think that things that we can do to save time and to assist the attorneys, I think can allow more money to go into other things that you need. And so whatever we can do to take advantage of the technology, and the sooner the better, I think would be, of course, that's going to be a long process getting the old cases, scanned and into the system. But trying to keep our attorneys from having to go where this Vigliotti building or wherever it's at. I believe that's where they're stored. It would be great benefit, I think, in time saving. I also wanted to ask if the conviction integrity unit, I applaud you for starting that, with the support of the commission, and I thought it was one of the greatest things that we've ever done, and that you initiated and we supported, and it's something that it begged the question in whether or not it are most of the cases that this unit deals with police officers that did the things they did to fabricate a case, and are they prosecutable? The police officers, if they're still on the force, are charges, or is it possible to bring charges against them?
Well, a lot of just the conviction integrity unit, and I think I neglected to say that we have either exonerated or given relief to 30 men. Like I said, some on this call right now, and invaluable work. And most of the cases are decades old. So in many cases, it's not possible or feasible to prosecute those police officers. But I have to remind you on the other end that we're the only county in Michigan that has a full standing, dedicated, trained lawyers who, what they do is they prosecute police misconduct and elected official misconduct. We're the only one in the state that has, and we are exceedingly busy. It was year before last, I think our number was 70 of police officers that we had prosecuted for varying and sundry things. Not a proud statistic. And let me just say, overwhelmingly, we have very good police officers, but when wrong is done, we are not afraid to go in there and prosecute, as everybody knows. And so the ones that we can, we do not shy away at all from prosecuting. We are not afraid to do that. But as far as the CIU cases, and not all the conduct is police misconduct, I want to just make very clear.
Right. Yeah.
Some of it is new science. Some of it is some other things as well. But yes, we do prosecute the ones that we can. We do not shy away from that. But when it comes to some of the older cases, it's not possible because some of the cases are so old and people have spent decades of their lives in prison.
Right, I understand.
And we absolutely want to double the size of the unit.
Yeah, good. I appreciate that. Also, the last thing I have is, I know you mentioned the U of D Mercy law students. Are we using some of those students now?
The school starts, the orientation is going on now, I know, because my daughter is starting there. And so the actual classes start on the 23rd. We have to take them through a number of things, background checks because of state rules, being able to handle the files and that kind of thing. So we're in the process of doing that. And yes, this is the first semester we've done this. So we're going to be up and running this semester. And we know that we need the help. I think we're topped at 6 people, I believe. I know that the interest is there. And so I'm really looking forward to see how this works. Again, no other prosecutor's office in the country has ever done this.
That's great.
And it's through the work of Val Newman and others of making this happen. But I also want to just mention really quickly that we don't just stop with the exonerees or the ones that we grant new trials to. We want to support them. And we want to make sure that they have all the support that they need. Because like I said, some of them have been in prison for 20, 30 years. And so there are many other avenues that we're working toward for them. Some are too new to announce, but we will be announcing some of our other initiatives to support them and wraparound services. And they are also very supportive of each other. And so we don't just stop there, but we don't do things like that here in the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. We do the same thing for our juvenile offenders and some of our other offenders. We want to make sure that they're supported as well and not just examined in that way.
That made me think of one last question. I'm wondering about the state program to provide funds for those that are wrongfully convicted, and the money that's there. Is that, or has that been replenished to the point that it's able to serve those that are released from prison?
The answer to that question, I do not know. That is done by the Attorney General's office.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know the details of, I know it was not funded or underfunded for a while there. And I think that's been corrected, but I can't speak to that because that's under the Attorney General. And let me just say too, I would be remiss if I didn't say overwhelmingly the cases that we look at in the CIU are there's nothing wrong with those convictions. But if only one person is wrongfully convicted, that's a huge problem for everybody. So we are really happy to be able to do this work.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We are just as passionate about all of our other work that we do too. So.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kinlock is next, and then Commissioner Martha G. Scott.
Yes, Madam Prosecutor, I absolutely want to thank you for all the work that you do outside of the whole legal process and having your staff to respond to constituents' concerns and with all of the issues that are taking place in our community. I absolutely understand that crime is out of control. Yesterday at that press conference, the governor highlighted a number of different facts in regards to how crime has escalated. And one thing I wanted to ask you, as you're feeling the impact of the prosecutors being basically grabbed and taken to going over to other counties, what has that done to the caseloads that the prosecutors are handling in comparison to the counties where some of these prosecutors that you're losing are going into? So how has the vacancies and the loss of prosecutors impacted the case assignments?
Thank you for asking that, because that's very, very important. I touched on it a little bit. Let me just be a little bit more specific. It's crushing. Nobody should have 40 homicide cases to try. Nobody. Nobody should have that many homicide cases assigned to them. Nobody should have 50 sexual assault cases assigned to them. No trial prosecutor should have, over 200 or almost up to 200 cases that they have to prep for. Almost every other major city in this nation has 2 prosecutors assigned to a courtroom, and we have 1. And so they're responsible for everything that comes through that courtroom. And the numbers that I looked at just this morning are just under 200 per prosecutor. And things that come in and having to contact is to try to stay in contact with your witnesses on all those cases. One trial doesn't have just one witness. Trials may have 11, 12 witnesses, and times 200 are what we're asking our prosecutors to do that handle a courtroom, and everything else that goes on around them, and all the other, and not just trials. We have other hearings. We don't just have, those are the trial numbers, but we have pre-trial matters, we have motions, we have sentencings, we have many other things that a prosecutor has to do. And it's crushing, and people are looking for jobs because nobody should be asked for it. Maybe nobody should be asked to handle that kind of a caseload. The NDS, for example, they probably have about 15 cases per prosecutor, per lawyer, and they make more than we make. And you're asking a homicide prosecutor or a DV prosecutor, or domestic violence prosecutor, or a trial prosecutor, or a public integrity prosecutor, or a non-fatal shooting prosecutor, a community prosecutor, asking them to handle dozens and dozens of cases by themselves. So I can tell you how dedicated my staff is for trying to do this work, but it's my job to make sure they're supported, and we're failing. We're failing. We cannot have, no one should have more than 10 or 12 homicide cases a piece. Nobody should have that many DV cases. And like I said, you heard the numbers, 10,000 last year. We're gonna probably top that this year. And we have 1,000 cases per prosecutor probably, when you average that out. So, it's just kind of a menu for what shouldn't be done. So, but I know we can do better. I don't know. I think I have probably the most wonderful staff to have to deal with what we have to deal with. And many, like I said, many of them are leaving. Many of them are leaving, and they don't want to, but they have to.
The thing of it, just listening to you this morning, and also just hearing the comments that were made by you and others in the law enforcement world. We talk about hiring more police officers. Of course, we also we heard yesterday about the additional visiting judges who will be brought on board with some of the additional revenue that are coming in. But just listening to you, because we often don't, like you said, don't get a real clear picture of what the prosecutor and what's going on inside those courtrooms. But talking to you and then talking to Chief Judge Kenny, there is a crisis. There is a certain level of an emergency as it relates to how we are administering justice, and specifically the impact that we're seeing that the wages and the vacancies are having on that part of the criminal justice system. With this American Recovery Plan dollars that are coming in, we saw some monies that was being that's going to be requested through the legislature to be appropriated to help with law enforcement. I know we're talking about general fund dollars right now, but those dollars are real dollars that are coming into the county. There is an emergency, I believe, of sort that we need to see if there is a remedy or some long-term, short-term, because these are short-term dollars, to actually address some of these crises in our criminal justice system. Is there any conversation being had in regards to that?
Yes, let me answer it this way. I am leaving no stone unturned. I talk regularly with the CEO's office, not ready to talk about that publicly, but we are leaving no stone unturned. In terms of the visiting judges, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was mentioned yesterday. And a lot of people think that that's the answer. But with each visiting judge, you have to have a prosecutor assigned. And so that's not going to work for us unless you give us, unless someone, and I'm hoping that there'll be some money coming from the state in the form of grants, like has happened in the past, to hire other prosecutors. But again, even if we get the money, we've got to find a way to be able to hire people that want to come to work for Wayne County. And it's very difficult to do that. I don't want to keep being repetitive, but with the current staffing level, the current situation that we have here, they're going to get invaluable experience. Everybody knows that. You feel good at the end of the day when you've helped somebody, a family, giving them some justice because their loved one has been killed. When you've given something to a family who's had a child severely abused, when you've given something to a family when your 90-year-old grandmother or great grandmother in a nursing home was abused sexually and physically. Those are the cases that we do. You are giving measure to a family when someone's broken into their house or stolen their car. And we as prosecutors, we're able to deliver justice to them, while at the same time delivering due process to defendants. That is a good feeling, but it's very hard now to do that with what we have. People become prosecutors because they want to help people. They want to dispense justice. They want to do the right thing. And I don't hire anybody who is afraid to, when the evidence is not there, when your evidence goes soft, when you find out that what the police have told you is not what really happened. We're not afraid to dismiss cases here. You better. Other prosecutors' offices are not like that. And that's what people don't understand. Many prosecutors' offices are not like that. You toe the line. And so I would never want to send knowingly someone to prison that shouldn't be there. None of my prosecutors do. But we have to have the tools to be able to do things right. But yes, we are exploring every possible expenditure of money.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Martha G. Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Prosecutor, or is it afternoon? Oh, it's still morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Scott.
All right. I have heard you many times, but nothing is as bad as it is now. From all of these numbers and stuff that you just spoke on, it is tremendous. And I know this because from community, I get calls all the time about the drag racing, about, as you know, when we drive ourselves, we have to make sure that these people are going to stop, and it's just, and I don't know if it's this time that things are so bad. I'm just trying to figure out, how did it get this bad? It's been bad. And we've been, each time you come to us, you need more and you need more. And you're right. we've got to do better. We've got to help you more. And we always know what's going on because your staff is always at all of our meetings to let us know what's going on when you're not there. And on public safety, you're right. You have been to us so many times, being creative and getting things done. So I just want you to know that I am with you, and hopefully some of these dollars that are out there, that we can be creative and give you some more. And when people are going to leave you, we have to offer them some more somehow. So just want you to know that I'm with you and will do all that I possibly can, because you have certainly done a yeoman's job ever since I've known you. So thank you so much for all that you do, and hopefully we can work on these issues.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Thank you very much, Commissioner Scott. You have been with us from the very beginning.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I do have someone on the phone that can answer Commissioner Anderson's question, if that is appropriate, or you want me to wait?
No, that's appropriate. I just need a name and title for the record.
Okay, his name is Mark Hindelang, and he is my director of my IT and many other things that he does, not just that. So I know he's on, and what they wanted to know, Mark, was the status of the case management system and where we are. And kind of a timeline.
Madam Chair, the state of the case management system is we have closed the RFP and we are working on a contract with Corp Counsel and the vendor right now. The other piece of Commissioner Anderson's question was about getting the files from the Vigliotti building. That's a scanning project that has been started. My understanding is that there is a contract amendment to put more money in that contract that is working its way to the commission or at the commission, so that work can continue. We have worked with the vendor, the scanning vendor, to make sure that they are in compliance with the federal regulations that we have to comply with. So that was a little bit of a step, but once we get the contract funded, so they can continue working and we get the compliance in place, then all of the old files will go for scanning and be put into either our current archive system or the new case management system. That's still a matter to be negotiated as well.
Thank
you, Mark.
I would like to recognize our chair of the commission, Commissioner Alicia Bell.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Madam Prosecutor. Just
Good morning,
wanted
Madam
to thank you again for always giving us the real deal and being a straight shooter. Thank you for fighting for all of your 8 prosecutors, everyone in your office, and thank you for your dedicated staff members. For those of you who don't know, last week on NBC Nightly News national broadcast, Prosecutor Worthy was on there with her integrity unit, and I apologize if you spoke to that, but my internet went out. So if you did not speak to that already, it was wonderful to see the spotlight on Wayne County and what we're doing with the integrity unit, which is outstanding throughout the country. So I just want you to know, Madam Prosecutor, that we will continue to fight for all of the needs of your office. We know that salaries are low. We know that we have to attract good, talented people and retain good, talented people. But this commissioner is with you, and I know all of my colleagues are with you in making sure that we provide the justice for our residents that they duly deserve, and that justice comes from the prosecutor's office. So again, I want to thank you and your dedicated staff, and we look forward to giving you a budget that will help you and help our residents in this justice pursuit. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for coming out to the conference yesterday.
Thank you, Chair Bell. Ditto. Any other commissioners who would like to ask some questions or make comments? Any other commissioners? Okay, Madam Prosecutor, please go ahead and close out your remarks, and then I do realize that we do have some people from the integrity unit who would like to testify. So under public comments, they will go first. Do you have any closing comments?
Yes. Basically, I think I gave them already, but just based on the questions, we've always tried to be innovative. We've always tried to, and we haven't had very many years, maybe one or two, if that, where we haven't stayed within our budget and been creative and gotten, 12 to 13 $1 million worth of grants so we can keep afloat, even though we all know that's no way to run a railroad, but we haven't been able to keep afloat some years because of that. But again, with the crime out of control, with my staff just hanging by a thread, with my staff looking for jobs and wanting and having to leave because they have to do what's best for their families, and I get that. But I just want to be able to tell them, Commissioner Barger, just to hold on a little longer, that help is coming. I sometimes I don't think, and I'm glad that you have said that today, that people know how much of my time I spend on this very issue. Meeting with all of you, meeting with the CEO, meeting with community members, meeting with funders, meeting with the nonprofits and people that try to help my office in doing what we're supposed to do. I care deeply about my staff because I know what they're going through. I've done it. I didn't come into this job not having done what they're doing. And plus being a judge on top of that. But it was never, we had some lean years when I was under John O'Hare, but it was nothing like this. So I just want my staff to know that I want them to hang a little longer, the help is coming, but we've got to be able to not just get positions, we've got to be able to attract people here to want to take the jobs. And that's the first time I've said this in 17 years. It's never been a situation where we couldn't attract and keep people. And so that's a real problem. So at the risk of being repetitive, I don't want to go any further, but I think, I hope I've made myself clear, and I think I have, with all the respect of, and again, everyone on this call has helped me. The CEO has helped us. The CEO staff has helped us, but we've got to take that extra step to get through this backlog, especially. So thank you for listening and understanding that what you see on TV is not reality, that we break our backs trying to get things done, and we don't have the unlimited resources that some of the other places do, like Chicago and LA and New York, where they have, a ton of money and they can do much more quickly and easier and more succinctly than we can do here, instead of always having to just put out fires. Thank you.
Thank you. We all hear you, and we are all committed to making everyone, all of our employees' wages be more competitive. You will see us working on it even after the budget process is done. We will start on a new chapter and continue working on trying to find dollars so we could raise some of these salaries to an acceptable level so we can attract and keep Wayne County workers working here in Wayne County. We appreciate our employees and we want to keep them, and we want to pay them what they deserve. So we are on that same page, and we will keep working on just that. I have to do some make sure that every commissioner had an opportunity to speak. I still see Chair Bell's hand up. Chair Bell.
Yes, if I could just say one more thing that I neglected to say earlier. Despite all of the challenges that we have at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, I just want to make note that the National Association of Counties and the Large Urban County Caucus has taken note of what we've done with our rape kits. And now what we've done is a model for the rest of the country and large urban counties across the country with the leadership of our prosecutor. So I think that's important to note that we've had a discussion about that at the national conference. All of the counties were so very impressed, and they're modeling with what we've done to make sure that they address the rape kit backlogs that they have in their respective counties. So just bit of good news that we are being a model, even though we do have some challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
we are very, very blessed to have Kim as our prosecutor because she is so forward thinking. She goes after every single dollar she can find all over the, I'd say, world. And so she doesn't just stop at public funding from the county. She also goes for grants and so I don't know any other prosecutor in the country who does what Kim does. So I just want to make sure that Kim, you know that you are so very much loved and appreciated. And your staff.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning my staff. That's important. Thank you.
Staff is very, very important. Without staff, we wouldn't be able to do the things we want to do. Any other commissioner who's joined us would like to ask a question? If I don't see your hand up, please go ahead and identify yourself. Okay. Mr. Abbo, do you have anything for the prosecutor?
I'm good, Madam Chair. Thank you. And thank you, Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. In that case, we'll go on to the next item. Madam Clerk.
Next item, item D, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Mr. Abbo, would you like to just real quick tell us what's going to happen the next few meetings?
Yes, actually, again, we're winding down. The last hearing will be on Thursday. It'll be day 8. We'll be hearing from the commission, the CEO, management and budget, the building authority and economic development. I want to remind everybody that the meeting on Thursday will start at 1 o'clock. We do have full board at 10 o'clock and the Committee on Criminal Justice at noon. So we will be have our meeting afterwards. And then day 9, which will be Tuesday, August 24th, we'll be talking about budget instructions. And we're looking to wind up on Thursday, September 2nd. So we will have the Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, August 31st.
Unless things change between now and then, I think committee members should prepare to meet on the 26th, Thursday next week as well. Mark?
Yes, that is correct. We'll be talking about the budget and then we'll be remanding it to the Committee of the Whole at that date.
Thank you much. Next item.
Item E, public comments.
Okay, we're going to open up public comments. Could you please unmute everyone?
Everyone has been asked to unmute themselves, and we have received an email.
Would you please read the email?
Sure, 1 moment, please. This email is from Ms. Michelle DeBees. It says, "Dear committee members, we know you are well aware of the $300 million Wayne County received from the federal government for hazardous/pandemic assistance. Please understand that Wayne County employees are upset and we are angry that our county executive Evans never acknowledged us when we were deemed essential workers during COVID and had to come to work or risk losing our jobs. We did come to work and we did worry about contracting COVID and bringing the virus home to our loved ones. We were never compensated with any additional pay from the federal monies received. You all understand that Wayne County is one of the lowest paid counties as well as the largest in the state of Michigan. We work hard. We get the job done. We haven't had a raise in more than 13 years and we struggle. As an ASME 1659 union member, We are asking you to please remember those of us who worked tirelessly during the pandemic since March 2020 and up until today without any additional pay. I personally work a part-time job to make ends meet at Family Dollar, and we were compensated an additional $2 per hour hazardous pay during the pandemic, March through December 2020. I was embarrassed to say I received no additional hazardous compensation from my main job at Wayne County government. Thank you for reading my letter today and listening to our employees' concerns. I hope you will think about how the pandemic hazard funds for Wayne County were not distributed properly to the frontline workers and those who came to work and sacrificed their commitment for their job. Please find in your hearts to compensate the workers some type of stipend for our commitment during COVID, even if it's a small additional hourly wage like my Family Dollar family share with me, just to show you do care about your employees who have given years of loyalty and commitment to working here for the county. That's it.
Thank you very much. We'll start the public hearing off with Mr. Larry Darnell Smith. Are you on the line? Okay, while we wait, I see the hands up of several people and then we'll take them in order. Mr. Darrell Woods.
How you doing, Madam Chair? And
Great. And could I just say one thing to everyone in the public? Could you please direct your comments to the commission? Thank you.
Absolutely. It's an honor to speak before this honorable body. I'm Darrell Woods. I served 28 years and 11 months in prison. I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. I was able to be released in 2019. I have the good pleasure to have the opportunity to do a lot of good work with Prosecutor Worthy, and have seen her work tirelessly to be able to help save lives. In as much as the Conviction Integrity Unit is a life-saving mechanism that has been put together and that need to be well funded. I implore this honorable body to put all the resources in this particular unit to be able to get people who was kidnapped by their government and placed in prison for something that they had no knowledge of. This is very, very imperative. Very, very glad to see on national TV that Wayne County is a national leader, but there's a lot more work need to be done. As you heard the prosecutor say, there's 1,700 cases. So that means 1,700 people cases need to be reviewed. We don't know the numbers of how many more who are actually innocent, but those have to be vetted out. But if the resource is worth one innocent person, I have good friends who are crying out for mercy, who's crying out for help. I also recognize that there's a juvenile lifer caseload that Miller versus Alabama has overturned or gave the ability for those who were juveniles to have the opportunity to be released, which Prosecutor Worthy had a massive caseload to be able to address. And she needs the resources to be able to honor the law, to be able to get people justice in that particular area as well. I had the opportunity to work on one of the diversion programs called the RAP program while incarcerated. I am the co-chair of the Detroit branch NAACP Criminal Justice Committee. Since I've been out, I've been appointed by Governor Whitmer to the State Appellate Defense Commission. And I am the regional coordinator for Nation Outside, and I belong to a number of organizations that advocate on behalf of those who are looking for justice and mercy in our system, you all have the power to be able to give her the resources, Prosecutor Worthy, the resources that she needs to be able to bring some dignity into our justice system as she's been doing. And I thank her very much for all that she's been doing. We meet with her on a monthly basis, and she has her doors open to those people wouldn't ordinarily open their doors to. And so I'm very, very appreciative to be able to work with her. And so let's continue to this struggle, and let's continue this fight for freedom, justice, and equality. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you very much. It was good to have you with us, Mr. Kevin Harrington.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and everyone that serves on this board for allowing me to speak and allowing me to be here. So I'm indebted to all the hard work that Kim Worthy and the CIU put on. Reason being, I was recently released after serving 17 years, 6 months, 2 days, and 35 minutes for a crime I didn't commit. The crime was murder. So hearing everything that Prosecutor Worthy said, overstaffing, not enough prosecutor to look at the cases, that's what I would say to myself the whole time I was on. If someone could just look at my case, they'd see I was innocent. Now I see what the problem is. There's not enough prosecutors with all the cases. We need more prosecutors to look at the cases and not just go over them. You know, it takes time. It takes real good energy. But if they're overworked and overstaffed, understaffed, in so many cases that's going on, I seen the chair lady Bill talked about the NBC News clip on Nightly News. I was on there as well with Kim Worthy and talking about the CIU. The work that they're able to do with such limited staff is just through the roof. It's awesome the work that they are able to do, and it's leading the nation. They need all the help they can possibly get. This type of work, and I know I'm talking to forward thinker people, this is the same, the only thing that you can equate this to is stopping slavery. Because when I'm kidnapped and snatched from my family and thrust into a prison system for almost 20 years and paid 70 cents per work day, that's slavery. We must stop this. How do we stop this? Give them every resources they need so this doesn't happen again. We need to surround them with more workers. We need to compensate the workers that's doing the work so they don't go to another office. We need the help here, right here in Wayne County. With all this chaos, with everything that's going on, we need to give them all the resources that they need, everything that they're asking for. And I think that we have the right group that can do it. So I cry out to you personally. And I sit here being home almost 14, 15 months, and I sit on the board of commissioners in my city, the city of Inkster. So the work that the exonerees that's doing, fighting for the criminal justice system, fighting for justice reform, we out here every day doing it. We up to dusk till dawn, putting in the work. We don't get a paycheck for this, but we understand it's a problem. We understand that it's so many more people that's just like me that's behind that wall, but we need quality prosecution and prosecutors to look at those cases that's already been wrongly convicted. We need quality prosecutors to look at the cases when they're being charged. If we can catch it before they get convicted or get this case dismissed or say, hold on, this is not the right guy, he won't have to serve 20 years and try to contact a CIU to say, I've been wrongly convicted, and lose 20 years of my life and try to rebuild that. You know, that's a tragedy. We can stop it from the gate. And I just ask you guys, and I pray that you make the right decision to get them everything that they need to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kenneth Nixon.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I am also a Kim Worthy Conviction Integrity Unit exoneree. I spent 15 years and 9 months incarcerated for a crime that I didn't commit. I was recently exonerated and released on February 18th. Tomorrow makes 6 months since I've been free. The investigation leading up to my eventual exoneration took well over a year. And That was because they didn't have the staff to do what was necessary in order to help me prove my innocence. There's tons of other people sitting exactly where I just came from, waiting for relief. They're waiting for relief and they can't get it because of funding. That's a terrible feeling to know that your life hangs in the balance because of money. Nothing you've done, nothing you can do, and nothing anybody except you guys can do to remedy that situation. And it all boils down to money. Putting the right people in the right place is the simple part. But if you can't fund it, then you wind up in situations like where we just spent more than a decade, some of us more than that, incarcerated for crimes that we didn't commit. The work that the CIU is doing is phenomenal. Kevin just told you we're up in 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to help, trying to do our part. And, you know, we've come to the understanding that it's about funding. Valerie Newman is doing a great job. Kim Worthy is doing a great job, but they're working with limited resources. Just imagine what justice could look like if they were fully funded and operating at full capacity. So to all the commissioners that get to decide what happens on this issue, my question to you would be, what does justice look like to you? Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Amanda Morris-Smith.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the opportunity for being able to speak to the commissioners this morning or this afternoon. I am the newly elected president of the Government Bar Association. That is the union that represents the rank and file members of the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, as well as the members of Corporation Counsel. And I just wanted to touch on a few things. I very much appreciate the comments that preceded me, and I would strongly agree with what I've heard. If we want social justice in this country, we want Wayne County citizens to have justice, we need a strong, well-funded, educated, competent prosecutor's office. That requires the retention of attorneys that are experienced and knowledgeable. That requires money, staffing at all levels, victim advocates, clerical staff, and the prosecutors themselves. I've been a member of the Government Bar Association's Board of Governors since 2016. I was there when we negotiated our present contract in 2019. We gave Labor and Relations for the County of Wayne a 40-minute long presentation demonstrating how our salaries compared to competing salaries within the state of Michigan. And we asked for nothing more than parity. I mean, honestly, as Prosecutor Worthy pointed out, you know, we are probably entitled to more. This is a county of 1.7 million citizens, and our caseload is absolutely tremendous. But we simply asked for parity to.
There's technical difficulties. Looks like Ms. Smith, are you still there? She has frozen up. Her system froze. We'll go on to the next speaker, Ms. Kim Woodson.
Hi, everyone. I would like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am the second female juvenile lifer to be released in Michigan. I served 29 years. And I would like to thank you, because if it wasn't for the funding that you did give Ms. Worthy's office, I wouldn't be home. I wouldn't have this beautiful miracle baby that y'all see has been photobobbing us the whole meeting. I've been trying to be off camera because I know she's distracting. But I think it's very important that we give her more funding to sentence the juvenile lifers that still haven't been resentenced. The law has already stated that we weren't mature enough. I know for a fact, if I knew the knowledge that I have today when I was 17, there is no way a murder would have ever been committed in my case whatsoever. It wouldn't have been a case at all. And these grown adults are dying from COVID. They should have been home just like myself, but because of the lack of funding and the fact that she don't have limited prosecutors that do the cases that she have that's bombarding her office every day. And we have to acknowledge she does a phenomenal job with over 70% of Michigan whole caseload. She gets the job done. She needs more resources. She needs more prosecutors, but most importantly, she needs to be able to allow fairness to be across the board. And in order to do that, she has to allow her staff not to be overworked, not to be rushed decisions because they don't have the resources that needed to do proper investigations. Like my constituent said, they spent years in prison that was unnecessary. A simple, proper investigation would have did, and they would have never been prosecuted. And that's because we asked her office to do so much more with so little less. And it's a shame that outside prosecutors make more money than her prosecutors do, and their caseload is higher. That is something to be said about our people and how we address our county. So please find it in your heart to give her more money to be able to be a fair prosecutor. Thank you for listening.
Where we stand with stamping.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Had responded.
Anyone else? I don't have any more hand. I see President Buffington's hand up, and that's the last hand. So President Buffington, please go ahead. And after you, whoever would like to speak, just speak up and say your name for the record. President Buffington.
Thank you, Commission. Once again, you all have been hearing me before I was elected the president of Local 1659, the local that does the work of 17 and a half entities of Wayne County as support staff. We have been crying out for over 15 years. I hear these individuals that were contemners and locked up, but they don't have an understanding of the whole system. It takes the support staff to get the paperwork to the prosecutors. It takes the individuals that type the warrants to get the information to the prosecutors. It takes the court clerks sitting in the courtrooms to do the job, to prosecute the warrants correctly, to put in the correct guidelines in regards to the sentencing. We're short of staff throughout Wayne County. The commission is only a small portion of what you need to contact and speak to. You have an individual by the name of Warren Evans that controls the monetary issues, that controls the inner workings of Wayne County, that we all need to cry out to. Our employees have been employing the commission, and we thank the commission very much for stepping up and listening to us all dearly for this past year in regards to our plight, for reading our letters and understanding that these employees have suffered. They are realizing now, because they're leaving, they're losing their staffing, and everything is falling apart because of what we have been asking for years. And I am proud to say, as a president, I'm getting my people out here to get the word out so y'all know what's going on. And hopefully we can all come together and clean this mess up and make everything work correctly. But we have to recognize everyone. That's what's important. It starts from the bottom and it works up. Remember that. And my condolences to Karen Ford Hood's family and Congressman Paul Mitchell's family. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, President Buffington. Anyone else in the public who's listening would like to make a comment? Just go ahead and state your name and continue to speak. Anyone from the public wishing to comment? Did everyone get an opportunity from the public? I know I was expecting Mr. Larry Smith. but evidently he could not make it or could not stay long enough. Just wanted to recognize him as one of those who was also released and found innocent. I hear no more public comments. So we will move on to the next item on our agenda. And thank you, everybody, for coming and speaking today. We appreciate you. Without the public, we wouldn't be as informed sometimes as we are. So we need you. We all need to work together. Next item on the agenda.
Item F, adjournment.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Well,
Becky.
support. I'm sorry.
It's been
I'm
moved and
mute.
supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone would like to stay here?
No.
We will see you Thursday for full board and then another meeting, and then we will see you at 1 o'clock for Ways and Means. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Have a good day.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody.
Thank you
Bye.
all.